Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here, and today I want to talk about the farm method I've been doing for about the last week. Pretty much to just kind of like lazily farm up Flame Elementium and Torchlight Infinite Outlaw season. And this mechanic, this like whole farming thing is pretty much focused around the Outlaw seasonal mechanic and Nightmare. And I've recently added in a little touch of Cube, which I normally don't like, but I figured that it's kind of like a very easy, profitable thing, just a splash on top, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. This doesn't really require that you have any of these seasonal pets. They obviously do help, however, you don't need them. And this is just what I've been farming in Profound for a while here. And pretty much the main things that you're going to be selling is going to be things like the Shallow Dream Talking. You're just going to get an absolute ton of these. I've sold so much of this, especially the trinket one here is pretty expensive. I don't have any weapons on me right now, but the armor one is the cheap one. And then we're also going to be getting desire cores from the cube mechanic, and these are currently insanely expensive for, you know, considering the fact that there's a lot of people farming cube. I don't think that there's very many people that are like actively going after the desire cores right now, and so our farming method is a little bit more focused in on that as well. And of course you just get the raw drops from doing the outlaw content and like building up your coins here so you can go and run the vaults and stuff. And these typically, like if you do a full Profound style vault, you can build 100 FE just baseline every single time from that. And if it happens to like get buffed up by the loot pet, that's even better. And so this whole strategy is just pretty nice and casual. The only thing you really need to do is just go and add resonance when you're running these maps. I'm not running any sort of compass or anything like that to add content, especially because a lot of the compasses right now for the stuff that we're going to be running is pretty expensive. The only thing I'll occasionally will drop in will be like a Sandlord compass if I need to get some more coins for my Sandlord peeps. But that's pretty much it. These are like 4 FE a pop, which is pretty expensive. Let's talk about the actual chart here. So we are going to be going and taking almost the entirety of Nightmare. And this is going to make sure that we're getting Nightmare on every map. And it's also going to make it so that there is a chance that this card will proc off here. So in 10% of the maps, you're gonna get one additional Nightmare monster that can drop Queen's Grace. This particular monster can also drop Shallow Dream Talking, and is actually the best source of Shallow Dream Talking right now. And you can tell when it's this boss because you will see a boss's like title card above that says something something of dream something something, and it won't have the word invading in it because the invading is from the actual dream mechanic. Whereas this is just from this card here. And if you see that guy and you have Nightmare pets, you just want to switch over to them to kill them to get additional drops of the Shallow Dream Talking. You just go right back to your loot pets after that. That's kind of the only like little micromanagement thing in the whole farm. And I'm not going to do a video where I talk about exactly how to do Nightmare most effectively right off the bat. The one thing I will recommend though is in the Nightmare tree here, that you go and you take a setup similar to this. You don't want to take this last point here that gives you one more bubble. The reason for this is because the less bubbles you have, the easier it becomes to get higher quality bubbles. Because like if you only have 3 bubbles and you're trying to like level them up, it becomes easier to hit the ones repeatedly. And I can do a whole video talking about Nightmare later, but this is pretty much the setup for this that I'm using. And then pretty much for the rest of this tree here, I do have a little bit of beacon stuff in here. This potentially could be dropped if you don't really care about sustaining beacons all that much. I find this helps out just a little bit. You could replace this with, you know, anything of your choice. Maybe go put these points into Sandlord or something like that. But the other thing that we're doing is going into Cube here. So we go get this section over here that gives us 100% chance to get Cube. And then going up this direction makes it so that when we covet in a Cube of Craving, which is like the little like bonus cube thing, as you click the covet button normally and it'll like randomly hit the yellow tile, I think it is, and it gives you like a second screen that like has random stuff in there. So you have a chance to get an extra desire core from there. And then this node up here makes it so there's a 15% chance to obtain 1 additional desire core, but this reduces the amount of like gambling you can do per cube. Which is fine for us because we're only going to get like 5 spins or so per map here. And then this section here just adds more bosses and other stuff here and just kind of like beefs up the cube as well here. And then in this section over here, since we're not going to be putting any compasses in, I just like to go and do this particular node that has a 25% chance to add 4 bosses. I've noticed that this seems to pull the bosses from the like pool of bosses that could legally be on the map already. And so this can be like nightmare bosses. This can be like cube bosses. Both of those pretty beneficial. And I'm going over here and I don't like really die in profound anymore. And so we go and take this node here, which gives us more drop quantity, but then we can't die. You could take this node instead if you're like dying in profound. And that's pretty much the farm. And pretty much what it would look like here. I'm just going to reset real quick. Is we just take like pretty much any card here. There are some good cards that we could potentially get. Things like, for example, some of these like dream talking ones down here. This one's pretty juiced, or the cube ones. If you get those ones can be pretty okay. Otherwise, I'll just take really whatever. Even just like additional flame fuel, I think is pretty good. I like to spin these up, and I always pay attention to make sure that we don't have mods like this where like rare monsters have a chance to get additional movement speed, because this does count the guards from the current season mechanic, and those guys can pretty much just like take off like a rocket if they have that mod. And we're just going to hop in. The first thing I always do is spin up my attacks, and we're just going to go and we go right up to the Nightmare Lotus, and we pick whatever. Whenever, right now our current one is whenever we run one, we get another one of the exact same thing. So here, I think I'm just going to level up twice, and we're just going to go and blast our way through the map. And pretty much like we're not overly concerned with killing everything. We're pretty much just trying to get to the truck. Although there are some map layouts where like there are some spots that you might want to skip. Just getting to the truck, running it, and you know, trying to get rewards from this. Sometimes the trucks are not going to give you anything. Sometimes they're going to give you hundreds of FE. It's really just kind of like hit or miss right now. But even the like tower coins you can kind of see as like earning fragments of a key to go run the heist. So these can be pretty nice. Like I said, I typically get about 100 FE a pop right now from each heist that you go on, and that's like without having the pet proc at all. And this doesn't really take all that long to go and deal with. And you know, I'm like also getting experience from this right now, working on our way to 100. And then once that's done, we kind of just like run through the rest of the map, killing stuff as we go, especially like big packs of monsters, big packs of like cube monsters, especially if we see them. Any sort of extra bosses that show up on the map, I like to kill those as well. And then, oh, that guy didn't die. And then just go finish up the map. And the last thing you need to do is just interact with the cube here. Just take a few moments to go. We're just going to click covet. So we hit this. This is the Cube of Craving, for example. And so there's a chance that we would have gotten a boss key from that, but it didn't happen. This is like what, you know, when it says Cube of Craving, that is what that is. This does give us the opportunity to greed and potentially double. It's like 50-50. I greeded one time this season and I succeeded, so I'm gonna like stay with my perfect record for the rest of the season. 100% win rate feels pretty good. But hopefully this video helps you out. And that's pretty much just what I've been doing for farming. It is pretty chill. Once the nightmare procs, you just go in there, do all the stuff, and the higher rank the bubbles are, so like red and rainbow, tend to drop quite a decent amount of the shallow dream talking stuff, and that's like a big, just like steady income. And then selling these like boss tickets when you get them is pretty nice as well. Like I said, these can go up to like 80, 84 FE, depending on the time of the day. So you put these up for like 84, 85 right now. They'll probably sell over time, and you can like, you know, log back in and they'll be sold. That's pretty much what I've been doing. Hopefully this video helps you out. Let me know if you want to see that dream video down below, and I'll see you guys soon. Come by the stream.